I'm going to tell y'all something really wonderful, man. Albert Einstein has a quote that changed my life, because it's something that we all have and you may have never understood it. Albert Einstein said, imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. If you can get this right here, this can change it for you. Imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. That means everything you see in this world came from somebody's imagination. Everything. Somebody was talking on the phone one day, and it was connected to the wall. And they was walking, they went, man, I sure wish this phone would go outside. Everybody in here got a cell phone. Imagination is everything. See, you've been thinking all this time that your imagination was just some hocus pocus. It ain't. I want you to hear me on this one, because this is the most powerful thing that I can tell you today. Albert Einstein had that quote, but Albert Einstein took that quote out the Bible. I don't know who you've been talking to that's been telling you all these sayings about money. Money is the root of all evil. Money can't buy you happiness. Money can't buy you happiness, but I tell you what though, it'll park you right in front of Happy's house. You can at least see if he home. See, listen to me. Albert Einstein took the second half of my mother's favorite scripture. My mother's favorite scripture is, and you've all heard it, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. It just means, really, that the pure essence of faith, it ain't nothing but hope. At one point in time, you're going to have to get smart now, people. All that hoping after you become an adult, it shouldn't be hope no more. This ought to start turning into some faith. Quit hoping, man. Turn it into faith. Faith is the belief in things that you cannot see. Ask for something from God. You don't know how in the world you're going to get it. That's what ought to be on your vision board. Don't put a bunch of stuff on there you can get. You know what's on my vision board? Things I have no idea how I'm going to get. I got $3 billion on my vision board. Why $3 billion? I don't know, more than one. What you going to do with $3 billion? I have no idea. But when I get it, you will know I have it. Look, man, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Your imagination is the evidence of things not seen. You know why it's the evidence of things not seen? Because your imagination, you're the only one can see it. Nobody can see your imagination but you. But God places what he has for you in your imagination. Your imagination is a preview of a coming attraction God has for you. That's what your imagination is. That's what it's been this whole time. All them times you've been imagining being rich, that wasn't just up there. God put it in your head because that's what he got for you. That big house you keep wanting, God put it in your head because that's what God got for you. When you keep dreaming of taking a summer vacation somewhere, that's because that's what God got for you, because that's a coming attraction that God has for you. That's what your imagination is. You've been tripping. You know how many times you done wrote your imagination off? You know the danger about your imagination? You tell it to the wrong people. That's the danger. You want to kill a big dream? Tell it to a small-minded person. Boy, they'll shoot it down every time, won't they? You know how many wonderful ideas you've had. stuff that God gave to you, you thought was, man, this is it. You went in there to your friends and your family and you shared it with them and they shot it down. You know why they shot it down? Because they ain't see it. You know why they ain't see it? Because God ain't give it to them. Because he put it in your imagination. If he'd have wanted them to imagine it, he'd have put it in their head. That's why people can't see what you're going to be. That teacher mind, look at you, you're standing there. You can't even talk. How they going to put somebody like you on TV? Well, lady, what you didn't know was I wasn't going to stutter forever. You didn't know God was going to get me over the stuttering, did you? You didn't see it. Because nobody else from 112th Street ever been on TV. You ain't think I'd be the first. You know why? Because you ain't see it. God didn't put me being on TV in her head. He put it in my head. I was just dumb enough to think it could happen. When you gonna get dumb enough to think that your imagination is real? If I was you, I'd hurry up and get that straight. I really would. Some of y'all so smart. That's so good to you. I'm gonna be Usain Bolt. No, you're not. Chances of you being Usain Bolt. Quit imagining stuff that really ain't real. Let's hope. Because in that same class, my best friend wrote on the paper at 10, he wanted to be a doctor. I knew at 10, this was an impossibility. Lonnie can't even read. What doctor you know can't read? What you want to write on your paper is what you gifted at. What are you gifted at? What is the thing that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort? That's your gift. That's what ought to be on paper. God has been using your imagination to show you your gift. I don't appreciate him talking about the Lord that much. I didn't like the jokes. We're here for motivation. I didn't like the jokes. Well, okay, whatever. Somebody always finds something wrong with what you're doing, even if it's okay. Somebody always. But you know what? It don't matter what they say, because what they say don't matter. Who is these people talking about me? You remember I told you a minute ago, don't try to change yourself, because you ain't got to change. You know God gonna work with you just the way you are. Listen to me. There will be no more levels for you unless you get to the next level of your faith. There ain't no more levels for you, partner. You where you at.
I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nelson Mandela said, there is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living. I'm sure people have told you to make sure you have something to fall back on, but I never understood that concept. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything except my faith. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. Fall forward. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. You've got to take risks, and I'm sure you've probably heard that before, but I want to talk to you about why that's so important. First, you will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. Embrace it, because it's inevitable. And I should know. In the acting business, you fail all the time. Early on in my career, I auditioned for a part in a Broadway musical. Perfect role for me, I thought, except for the fact that I can't sing. I didn't get the job. But here's the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't fall back. I walked out of there to prepare for the next audition, and the next audition, and the next audition. I prayed, and I prayed, but I continued to fail, and fail, and fail. But it didn't matter, because you know what? There's an old saying, you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break. Here's my second point about failure. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, You're not even trying. My wife told me this great expression. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. Les Brown, he made an analogy about this. He says, imagine you're on your deathbed, and standing around your deathbed are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential. The ghost of the ideas you never acted on. The ghost of the talents you didn't use. And they're standing around your bed, disappointed and upset. They say, we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say. And now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes? So you got to get out there. You got to give it everything you got, whether it's your time, your talent, your prayers, or your treasures. What are you going to do with what you have? I'm not talking about how much you have. Some of you have money. Some of you have patience. Some of you have kindness. Some of you have love. Some of you have the gift of long suffering, whatever it is, whatever your gift is. What are you going to do with what you have? All right, now here's my last point about failure. Sometimes it's the best way to figure out where you're going. Your life will never be a straight path. To not only take risks, but to be open to life, to accept new views, and to be open to new opinions. Because the chances you take, the people you meet, the people you love, the faith that you have, that's what's going to define you. Never be discouraged. Never hold back. Give everything you got. And when you fall throughout life, remember this: fall forward.
And we've all had experiences where we were working on something and we knew it was possible, and we did those things that were necessary to bring it into reality. We took the responsibility to make it happen. Other people couldn't see it. A lot of people didn't believe it. You were attacked. You were criticized. People were opposing you, but you kept on doing it. It was hard. It was rough. It was difficult. But to you, it was worth it. And eventually you got to a level, you know, can nothing stop me now. I'm on the move. I'm on the move. I want you to be able to say something to yourself that will enable you to maintain a level of integrity with yourself. That when you say this, even when you face tremendous setbacks, it will be a benchmark to keep you in the game, to keep you moving forward and experimenting and readjusting your strategy and your plan of action, continuously looking for ways to win. So what is that something? When you got an idea you want to move on, you might not have the money, you might not have the education, you might not have the support or the resources you need. What is that something that can keep us going, that will enable us to act on our dream? What's one of those keys that will begin to help us to discover the secrets to our dream? Here's what I want you to repeat after me, please, with power and conviction. Say, it's possible. It's possible. That's all I want you to do when you look at your dream. Just say to yourself every day, it's possible. Just say that every day to yourself. It's possible. Because what does that do? See, it begins to change your belief system. See, the way in which we operate, ladies and gentlemen, it's a manifestation of what we believe, what's possible for us. Whatever you've done up to this point, all that it really is a duplication, it's a reproduction of what you believe subconsciously that you deserve and what's possible for your life. Most people operate out of their personal history, out of their memory, things they've done, things they've experienced, things they've seen, things that they have observed. What I'm suggesting that you operate out of a larger vision of yourself. I want you to see yourself doing what you want to do, experiencing what you want to experience, having what you want to have, doing what it is that gives your life some meaning and value. Operate out of your imagination, not your memory. Because whenever you look at where you want to go, I'm wanting to warn you, you will have some conversation back here after you go through the data that you've experienced in life saying you can't do it. And so what you want to begin to do is ignore that inner conversation. Well, most people, ladies and gentlemen, when something happens to them, what they do is they begin to believe that that's the way it is. That's the way it's always been, and they can't see the possibility of it being any different. Example, before April 1954, the common belief, the universal belief, because it had been tried again and again and again and people had failed, the belief was that man was not physically capable of breaking the 4-minute barrier, that he could not run a mile in less than 4 minutes. That was the belief on the planet. It had never been done. But here's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Bannister came along, and he broke the 4-minute barrier. Now here's what's significant about that. Since that time, up to this day, over 20,000 people have done it, including high school kids. What changed? 20,000 people, what changed? Here's what happened when they got on the track. They knew it had been done.
What is your motive for action? What is it that drives you in your life today, not 10 years ago, or are you running the same pattern? Because I believe that the invisible force of internal drive activated is the most important thing in the world. I'm here because I believe emotion is the force of life. All of us here have great minds. You know, most of us here have great minds, right? I don't know if I'm in the category, but we all know how to think. And with our minds, we can rationalize anything. We can make anything happen. We can, I agree with what was described a few days ago about this idea that people work in their self-interest. But we all know that you don't work in your self-interest all the time. Because when emotion comes into it, the wiring changes in the way it functions. And so it's wonderful for us to think intellectually about how the life of the world is, and especially those who are very smart. We can play this game in our head, but I really want to know what's driving you. And what I'd like to maybe invite you to do by the end of this talk is explore where you are today for 2 reasons. 1, so that you can contribute more. And 2, so that hopefully we can not just understand other people more, but maybe appreciate them more and create the kinds of connections that can stop some of the challenges that we face in our society today. They're only going to get magnified by the very technology that's connecting us, because it's making us intersect. And that intersection doesn't always create the view of everybody now understands everybody and everybody appreciates everybody. So I've had an obsession basically for 30 years. And that obsession has been what makes the difference in the quality of people's lives? What makes a difference in their performance? Because that's what I got hired to do. I got to produce the result now. That's what I've done for 30 years. I get the phone call when the athlete is burning down on national television and they were ahead by 5 strokes and now they can't get back on the course. And I got to do something right now to get the result or nothing matters. I get the phone call when the child is going to commit suicide and I got to do something right now. And in 29 years, I'm very grateful to tell you I've never lost one in 29 years. It doesn't mean I won't someday, but I haven't done it. And the reason is an understanding of these human needs that I want to talk to you about. So when I get those calls about performance, that's one thing, like how do you make a change? But also, I'm looking to see what is it that's shaping that person's ability to contribute, to do something beyond themselves. So maybe the real question is, you know, I look at life and say there's 2 master lessons. One is there's the science of achievement, which almost everyone in this room has mastered to an amazing extent. That's how do you take the invisible and make it visible, right? How do you take what you dream about and make it happen? Whether it be your business, your contribution to society, money, whatever it is for you, your body, your family. But the other lesson of life that is rarely mastered is the art of fulfillment. Because science is easy, right? We know the rules, you write the code, you follow those, and you get the result. Once you know the game, you just, you know, you up the ante, don't you? But when it comes to fulfillment, that's an art. And the reason is it's about appreciation and it's about contribution. You can only feel so much by yourself. So I've had an interesting laboratory to try to answer the question of the real question, which is what's the difference in somebody's life if you look at somebody like those people that you've given everything to, like all the resources they say they need. You gave them not a $100 computer, you gave them the best computer. You gave them love, you gave them joy, you were there to comfort them. And those people very often, and you know some of them I'm sure, end up the rest of their life with all this love, education, money, and background, spending their life going in and out of rehab.
Some people do better because they have more time. I used to say, Harold ought to be able to do well. He's got a lot of time. If I had all of Harold's time, I could do well. Now that's got to be dumb, right? Number one, you can't get somebody else's time. A guy says to me one time, he says, you know, if I had some extra time, I could make some extra money. I said, then forget it. There isn't any extra time. Hey, when the clock strikes 12 midnight, that about wraps it up, right? I mean, you can look around the gongs there for a little more, but it's over. You say to the guy, what are you doing? He says, I'm looking for extra time. See, they'll come and take you away, right? There isn't any more time. Now, if you can't get more time, which you can't, what could you get more of that would make a difference in economic results? And here's the key word. Make it a part of your notes. We're going to consider it tonight. The word is value. And I have a little phrase for your notes. Value makes the difference in results. Value makes the difference. You can't get more time, but you can create more value. Now, here's the first lesson of economics. Everybody should learn it from the time they're old enough to understand what a dollar means, how to earn one, how to get one, how to keep one, what to do with it. First lesson of economics. We primarily get paid for value. That's lesson one. Bringing value to the marketplace, that's how you get paid. You don't get paid for the time. I know it takes time to bring value to the marketplace, but you get paid for the value, not the time. Now, since that's true, here's one of the key questions of the evening. Is it possible to become twice as valuable at the marketplace and make twice as much money in the same time? Could you become 3 times as valuable? Make 3 times as much money in the same time? Is that possible? The answer is yes, if. And it's always if, right? Life is known as the big if. Harry Truman once said, life is iffy. How true. And here's the big if we're going to consider it tonight. It's possible to do much better at the marketplace if you go to work primarily on yourself. And that's the theme of our seminar tonight. Learning to work primarily on yourself. People have asked me for the last 24 years, how do you develop an above average income? And the answer is, become an above average person. Develop an above average handshake. Some people want to be successful, they don't even work on their handshake. As easy as that would be to start on. They let it slide, they don't understand.
Now guess what? The reason I don't know how to make $3 billion, and the reason I ain't got to worry about the how, because the how-to is none of my business. See, the problem that people do is you get in God's way. See, you tell God what you want, then you mess up and tell him how you want him to do it. The problem is you can't tell God how to bless you. All you got to do is write down what you want. God will give you everything you write down. I'm telling you, it used to be a lot of stuff on here I had to take off. You don't see no cars on here because they all in the garage. I'm telling you, everything I have ever put on this board eventually comes true because the scripture says this: write the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it, that's me reading it, will run to it. And even though it tarry means take a long time, even though it tarry, wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. You're gonna get it, it's just at the appointed time. The problem is, he don't ever tell you when the appointed time is. That's the trick. You gotta keep the faith. It's going to happen. See, my first vision board I wrote when I was 10. I didn't know it was a vision board. The lady asked me what I want to be when I grow up. I wrote I want to be on TV. I wrote it at 10. I kept that paper till I was 27. I read it. I flunked out of school. I'm on my 3rd marriage. I lost everything twice. I've been living in a car for 3 years. But I kept reading my paper. Guess what? I'm TV star. I'm on TV. This is how this works. Now, I wrote it at 10, but surely it will come at an appointed time. I did not get on TV till I was 38. but my appointed time was 38. Boy, let me tell y'all something. Y'all better hear me now. I'm telling you this how this works. Success ain't a magic trick. It's a set of principles. Don't matter about your education. People in here way smarter than me. People in here got way more degrees than me. Education ain't in the Bible. The Bible says a man without a dream or vision shall perish. So guess what? You can't out-vision me. Your key is don't let nobody out-dream you and don't let nobody outwork you. That's how you get the life of your dreams. You don't need no education. Harvard ain't in the Bible. It's not in there, man. USC ain't in the Bible. It ain't in there. All them principles of success is. I bet you if you write it down, God's promises don't ever come back void. You know what that means? That means God don't say nothing he don't make true. Now you believe that now. This world gonna end one day.
Today is about how to get what you really want out of your life on a consistent basis. Now, in order to get what you really want, you got to know what it is, which for most people is a unique concept.
Don't be sorry. Just do better. Stop showing up for work late all the time.
As Confucius said, when it's obvious that the goal cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps.
Seriously, when I ask people, what do you really want? The answer I usually get is something like, well, I don't know, or something general like, well, I wish I had a better relationship. I wish I could start my own business. I wish I had more money. I wish I could be more successful. The challenge with all those responses is they're so general, and they're not what you really want anyway. People don't want relationships. People don't want money. They don't want businesses. They don't want to be thinner. What we all want are the things we think we're going to get from those changes in our lives. Everything that you really want in your life comes down to one thing. You want some kind of change in how you feel, or what I call a change of state. The state of mind or body you're in at that moment in time. We all want to change how we feel. Think about it. The only reason you want more money, you don't want little pieces of paper with pictures of deceased notables on it, do you? Of course not.
Stop being late for your success. Stop apologizing for the same mistakes over and over again. When you know you've done wrong, wake up and do right. Be accountable for your actions, because actions speak louder than words. Stop depending on other people for you to do what's right. Having a pity party is not something that you celebrate. Don't be the sorriest person walking on earth.
You want money because of what you think it'll give you. You think it'll give you more freedom, more fun, or the ability to give to other people. You believe it's going to lead to some kind of pleasure if you want it. Say, I want a business. Listen, I know a lot of people in business who don't want their business anymore. The bottom line is it's not the business you want, it's what you think a business will give you, the feeling changes you think it'll give you. Somebody says, I want to get married. They want to get married because of what they think that will give them. Or I want a relationship. They think it's going to give them a certain kind of feeling. That's what drives all of our behaviors. Challenge me on this. See if you can find an exception. Is there anything in your life that you really, really want that the reason you want it doesn't come down to eventually some feeling you're going to get if this thing happens in your life? I'll tell you over and over again, no matter what exception someone has tried to find, if I keep asking them, well, why do you want that? But why do you want that? But why do you want that? Eventually they get to a point where they go, well, because it makes me feel good. And so that's what we really want. We want to feel good.
Start being more an exceptional idea of why you exist in this world. Many mistakes will happen in your life. No one is perfect. But don't make sorry your cushion. Don't make sorry your teddy bear. Don't make sorry your place of escape. Because excuses is a manifestation of failure. Stop giving in to sorry. Stop letting sorry dictate you. Stop letting sorry tell you what to do. You better realize that everybody is not going to accept your sorry. No one wants to hear it.
We want to have those special feelings inside. In other words, we just want to be able to manage our emotions, manage our states, and create what we really want emotionally in our lives. Everything we do, we've already said, is to create pleasure, that's an emotion, and to avoid pain, that's an emotion too. And if we want to change our behavior, the quickest way to do that is change how we feel. I mean, think about it. Haven't you had a situation in your life where you did something, and after you did it, you said to yourself, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. That was so stupid. Have you ever had a situation like that? I mean, an area you're normally pretty smart in. You just did something really dumb. I know I have plenty of times. Haven't you also had the opposite experience, though? Where you were on a roll, where things were just flowing, where it was like you were unstoppable. And you don't even know how you were doing it. You were just like flowing, where after you did it, somebody said, you do that? And you went, yeah, that was me. And you don't know how you pulled it off. You were rather proud of it, though. Haven't you had those kind of times where you're just on a roll? So I got a question for you. What's the difference in your behavior? Why is it in one situation you perform brilliantly, in another situation you perform, how should we say, brutally?
One idea can turn your life around. Deciding that you're going to focus to develop your skills. The guy was the new owner of a baseball team that was in the basement of the league when he took it over. He went to the pitcher and he said, what is your best throw? And he said, well, I got a good curveball and I've got a good fastball. And he went on talking about his different throws. He said, but tell me this, what is your best throw? He thought for a moment. He said, I've got a good fastball. He said, that's all I want you to work on. Nothing else. Just develop your fastball. The next year, they went to the World Series. Most people don't know where their fastball is. Most people go through life never discovering what their talents are. Most people never develop their talents. They have skills and abilities, but if you don't nurture them, if you don't develop them, they will never serve you. Your gifts can take you many places if you develop your gifts. Most of us don't like to do those things that come easy to us.
That may be the single best piece of advice you're ever going to get. Write that down. Burn it into your flesh. Tattoo it on your soul. Do whatever you need to do to remember that once you set a goal, once you've decided in your life, there is something that you're going to make come true. Don't let anything stop you from reaching that. But the reality is, as you go, things are going to get in your way. There will be an inevitable slew of obstacles coming at you. But when it gets so hard that you realize that the path that you're on is simply not going to take you where you want to go, rather than give up on what it was you said you were going to do, find a different path. And in that, when you really make that the cornerstone of your identity, that you refuse to bend or be broken by obstacles, by challenges, but instead you rise to those challenges. You go over, under, through them. You do whatever you have to. You devise any plan to find a way through.
I've always loved to talk to people. I decided, taking this advice, to develop my skills as a speaker. And my gift has developed and it's taken me many places. You have something that you brought to the universe, and that if you decide that my life deserves my developing this, what I do well, and becoming the best at it, and mastering myself, and seeing what I have within me, if you decide to drop your buckets where you are and develop your gifts, I grant you, you'll never ever be without. I grant you that your gifts will take you places that will literally amaze you. I grant you that if you begin to work to develop your gifts, you'll develop a strong sense of happiness. You'll get a larger vision of yourself, because part of beginning to get a larger vision of yourself, all of us need some area of our lives where we can have a feeling of competence. That people know when they think about this area, that's something you do.
Then your life will change once that becomes your reaction to not change that thing that meant so much to you, that you dedicated your life to making it come true, that you don't change that, but rather you find another way. You tap into your creativity. You find somebody that can help you. You do whatever it takes to get on the other side of that. You do whatever it takes to build that life that you want to see. But if your reaction is to change your goal, to make it easier, to move it closer, to be less of who you could be, simply so you can check a box, you're never going to have anything that's worth having. And as Jesse Itzler said, the way you conquer self-doubt is by doing things that make you uncomfortable. And that's what stops people.
The very first thing I said to you, I asked you was what? Good, what are you here for? Right? Because there's a difference between a man and a woman who's living for something versus a man and a woman who's not living for something. Right? So I want you to study. Man, I wish I had the research up here, but there's research that proves that people who have a sense of purpose outlive people who don't have a sense of purpose. Right? I've shared this with you before, but if you had a brand new car and you sit that car in the garage for a year, do you know that car is not going to be as effective and as efficient as a car you put on the road? Because a car wasn't designed to do what? Sit. It erodes when it sits. Oh, you missed what I said. You think by using it, you damage it. No, you're really damaging it by not using it. You let gas just sit in the car for a year, you know what happens? You let oil just sit in the car, you know what happens? But that same oil that's in the car, that's moving and running, it's a different oil. That gas is being used, is a different gas. And most of you are not where you want to be, not because you don't have the ability to be there, but you're not doing nothing. And every time you sit and waste and do nothing, you are eroding your success. You are eroding your abilities. You are eroding your gifts. But when you use them, I didn't start doing voiceover work. I didn't start doing videos. I started with a GED program. And in the GED program, I would give kids work, but before I gave them their work, I would do what? I would motivate them. I went too far. Before I started motivating kids, I started reading personal development books. And then the books I started reading, I gave to them. And I started motivating them from the books. And I went from teaching a GED class to coming to Michigan State and doing the Advantage. And the Advantage is where all my videos blew up. The Guru Story, that wasn't in a big auditorium like this. I don't know if y'all saw the Guru Story, but that was in a normal classroom. We didn't start here with all of y'all. We started with 30, 40 kids, but we started. And by starting, it turned into this. Your problem is you haven't started. Write down right now what you should have started that you didn't start. And remember what I said, don't give me a passive start. Give me an aggressive start. What haven't you started aggressively? Let me hear it real quick. Somebody be honest. What haven't you started aggressively? What have you started, but you haven't started aggressively? Let me hear it. Yes, ma'am. Say it again. Caring. I love it. Caring about everything. Go on, let's just be real. How many of y'all just real? Like you going through the motions, but like you ain't really caring about what you're doing. Let me see your hand. Be honest. I love it. Thank you for being transparent. So we need to start with what? You need to care about what you're doing. Put something in it. Put some effort into it. Good. What else? What else have we been passive about? Yes, ma'am. Waking up at 4 a.m. Yep, most of us have been passive about waking up at 4 a.m. Absolutely. Why 4 a.m.? Write that down even if you ain't ready. I need to start my day before I start my day. Some of y'all just waking up and starting the day. It just hit you. You coming right into the day. Like you right in the day. Like boom. You ain't even got time to get ready. I told my wife, I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning. I stayed up late last night, got up at 3, but was like, okay. No, I got up at 2 something. That's what threw me off. I got up at 2 something, got up, did my thing, and was like, yo, I don't usually get up to 3. This 2 something. I might be a little too early. You know what I'm saying? Went back to sleep, got up, it was 6. I couldn't do the stuff that I normally do because I had to start to work at 7. So I wasn't even able to like go into my day. I didn't go in with prayer. I didn't work out. I didn't do the stuff that I do. I had to brush my teeth, take a shower. I had to get on the beginning of the call. And then boom, we had the podcast right after, 2 episodes back to back. Then after that, we went out to eat. Then I had to come back and do stuff. My whole day was ruined. My whole day was ruined. You understand what I'm saying? Then I messed up, hit a pothole, didn't even see the pothole. Now I got to stand in line at Discount Tire. I think I'm doing something by getting there at 8. Me and everybody else had the same idea. Am I lying, Nikki? I get there at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's a line all the way. I'm like, everybody got the same idea? We all hit the same pothole. Was that a setup? We all right here. I'm talking about, I'm literally like, I'm at Discount Tire. It's like a football game. It was about 12 dudes that was Discount Tire. They all running, get zoom, zoom, zoom. They starting off with like 10 cars. I'm like, it's unbelievable. They're standing like we stood in line for about 10 minutes. Nobody even came to us because they was doing tires. I told Carl, I was like, yo, Carl, next lick, we open up a Discount Tire, bro. This joker, they making bread, bro. They getting paid. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's about 40 cars outside. Then me and my wife just want to go pick up our car. I was like, yo, it's 6 o'clock. We got to go get our car. I get there at 6. It's a line inside. And it's cars. I said, what time you close? They said, when we finish the last car. I said, what time you going to be finished with my car? They said, about an hour and a half. I'm like, I'm buying a Discount Tire. Y'all busy at 8 in the morning. Y'all busy at 6 o'clock at night. I need a Discount Tire. Somebody getting paid this joint. Good. Talk to me. What else are we passively doing? What else are we passively doing? Come on, talk to me. I need 2 more people to be honest. Good. Starting a nonprofit. Good. How long have you been thinking about doing it? 3 years now. So write down the thing that you said you was going to do that you haven't done yet. Write it down. And what I want you to do is I want you to write it down every day and talk to somebody about it every single day until you get tired of talking about what you said you was going to do. Listen to me. Do me a favor. This is how life going to try to punk you. Life is going to tell you, you've been talking about that too much. Shut up and don't say nothing else about it. My first book, which is still selling on the shelf, The Secret to Success is still selling. Matter of fact, somebody said the other day, this is crazy. There was a young lady who volunteered for us. I'm not lying. I thought she was lying. I don't know if you remember this, Valerie. I thought she was lying. She said if you go online and try to buy that book, it's $69. I said, what? I'm about to start selling the few we got. I said, $69? She said that there are people who are selling that book for $69 because you can't go to a bookstore and grab it. That was the first book I ever wrote. Guess how many years it took me from start to completion to do that book? 10 years. Took me 10 years, but you know what I never stopped doing? I never stopped telling people I was gonna write a book. And my homies would be like, yo, E, you said you was gonna finish that book 5 years ago. You said you're gonna finish 6 years ago. You said you're gonna finish 7 years ago. You said you're gonna finish 8 years ago. And you know what that did? When they kept saying that, guess how I felt when they kept saying that? Got on my nerves. I said, one of these days I'm gonna shut your mouth. One of these days I'm gonna shut. So do me a favor, don't go, you embarrassed about it. You don't want nobody to know about it. Don't do that. Keep saying you're gonna do it so people can hold you accountable. Because one day it's gonna be the, come on, one day it's gonna be the, good, one day it's gonna be the, we lost to Dolly Parton's the #1 book and audiobook. Audiobook still going. Guess what? We still getting money every month. We still getting a check every month off the audiobook. People love, I be having kids all the time, I don't like to read. Okay, listen to the audiobook. They're like, the audiobook. It was like a movie. We got the creaking on the floor. I'm walking up the stairs, you can hear the creak. The line, you can roar. You can hear when I was homeless, the leaves. I'm telling y'all, like, that sucker's so sweet, you can hear me wink. They got that sucker so, I go, wow, you can hear that joker. One of the best books, and we're still getting a check from it. But guess what? It took me 10 years. If I would have stopped at 8, we would have never got a check from it. If I'd have stopped at 9, I would have never got a check from it. So don't let nobody fool you. Whatever it is you say you're going to do, just keep saying it out loud. Because one of these days, we're going to talk, and you're going to be like, yo, E, can you come speak for the nonprofit? I'll be, you finished it? For free. Just get a couple books. You know what I'm saying? Buy a couple books. Give out to the kids. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So do me a huge favor. Don't stop saying it. How long did it take me to get my first degree? 12 years. How long did it take? 12 years. How long did it take? What is the year that most people, if they don't get their degree, they stop? What year is the year? Because it's not 4, but what's the year that if you're working on it and you don't get it, when do most people stop? At what year? Year 6. That's where most people quit.
You should write this down every day. This year's either going to be better for me or it's going to be worse for me. How many couples in the room? How many married couples in the room? My marriage is either going to get better this year or it's going to get worse. My money's going to get better or it's going to get worse. My health is going to get better, my health is going to get worse. What I do today will determine whether it's going to be better or whether it's going to be worse. It will not be up to Trump. It will not be up to the Democrats. It will not be up to something that happens in Iran. It won't be up to the stock market. It's up to you. Okay? You guys want it to be better or worse? How much better? 10x better, baby, 10x. You don't want it to be a little better. You need to start thinking like this, okay? First, get rid of the little think and the old ideas and the middle class mentality. I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna save some money. I'm gonna put it in the bank. I'm gonna give it to the man. What's the bank do? The bank doesn't even keep your money. They hate money. Cash it's trash. Cash is garbage. It's pieces of garbage paper. It is only useful when it is used, if you're taking notes. They didn't teach you this in school. This should have been taught basic, 5th grade, 6th grade, not when in high school or college. Cash, this is a piece of paper, okay? It is a piece of paper. It's worthless. This is a piece of paper. This actually has more value. This piece of paper right here has more value than this piece of paper right here. Why? Because one person has this piece of paper. 2,000 people have this data. You understand? This piece of paper right here is useless, though, until it is used. How many of you were taught to save stuff? How many of you got sticky notes and you save them? You write like 17 different things on one sticky note. I don't want to use the whole pad. I'm going to make this sticky pad last the rest of my life. Okay? You got to get rid of the little think, folks. This little think is killing you. Let's find out if you got the little think. How many believe success is a mind game? Dude, it starts right here. You got to fix this. You got to get rid of. Let's find out if you've been affected.